just how we roll. It's dirty.
Yeah.
So people make mistakes. I just want to let you know that I make mistakes, and I had my run of show here. I had all my guests set up, and I created the cardinal sin of leaving off my last guest. So we're starting back up again. If anybody's joining me, please pop in the chat if you've been following this whole time. Matt Lee failed. Today is June 7th at 11:32 a.m. Eastern time. People make mistakes. Peter, I'm freaking excited to do this. I've only ever seen you presenting in other capacitances. You and I have never gotten the opportunity really to work together like this. And so it's great to see you, man. And thanks for just taking my request to come sit down and chat about cybersecurity, the day before.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'd seen you all around the channel, seen you speaking at many events.
Yep.
Quite the maverick. Never really actually got to sit down and talk with you, so it was nice to grab breakfast with you yesterday.
Yeah, it was great, dude.
I know you're always doing these live streams, and it ended early, right? We all fail. In fact, that's something we do at ConnectSecure is we like to fail fast.
Fail
right?
fast forward, right? That's the goal.
We fail fast. We have very rapid development life cycles. But
next time, my wife will take my mouse away from me until the run of show's done. Like I'll learn from this where I'm not allowed to press the buttons. But you know what I will say, and for anybody watching, ConnectSecure has a special place in my heart, in the sense that I've been involved with y'all from an advisory perspective for a pretty good long time as a consumer of your product early on, and then also now in the capacitance through PAX 8, right, in that regard. And what I loved about you guys is you did actually have some of that startup failure play out. Some of the early engineering that was made with some shortcuts in mind. Some of those things were made because capitalism rewards that, and that risk is taken, like Jacob Horn said. And I think what's greatest about y'all is you actually reacted gracefully with a strong reaction after a strong push, right? There were several people that said, hey, this isn't okay. We got to fix these things. And y'all said, done and done. Hired in, I think it was Deloitte, if I'm not incorrect on that, and made the delta and the changes in your world. So tell me about where it started for you. When did you get involved? What's the backstory? And what's your security history? Like, tell me a little bit about you, man. I don't know you all that well.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up in the industry.
Might have had a famous last name or something. I don't know.
Might have had a father and uncle who started, a very large vendor in the industry.
Yeah.
So I grew up in it, and I actually got to meet Shiva.
Is that better or worse for you think?
It's got its pros and cons.
Okay.
It's been overall, I'd say, a pro.
Born in the channel by definition, right? like literally. I digress. But you met Shiva.
I met Shiva when I was very young, actually. So Shiva and Shrikant, they're based out of Bangalore. Those are the two real founders of Cyber CNS.
Sure.
When I was going through college, I would actually spend my summers over in Bangalore with Shiva.
That's cool.
Where I was a computer science major, and then I'd go over and actually put the lessons into practice over with Shiva and his brilliant team.
And this was back in his former before this role, correct?
Before this role. This is back in 2014, 2015, I want to say. Very long time ago. So the company itself, really, Cyber CNS launched in 2021.
Okay.
I got involved around the beginning of 2022.
Okay.
More of an advisory.
And it was during that time that a lot of the biggest transitions happened at that company, if I recall.
I mean, a lot of big changes. I mean, we had the initial release, which was a great product. We had to make a couple of changes. We had to really kind of mature things up.
Yep.
I've been mostly helping out on, the go-to-market, building the supporting structures around the product, right? Shiva and his team are brilliant developers. They are one of the most powerful engines I've ever interacted with, really. But, I'm here to help out with, building good support teams, building good, go-to-market teams, building good documentation, education information. We just launched a YouTube channel with a bunch of videos.
Nice.
We're actually redoing all the documentation to make it, more step-by-step, including a video.
Education and empowerment. Is this a common theme that I keep hearing across this entire day of people talking? I love that part of it. Have you, from your back end, security from an MSP's lens has really been growing and growing and growing of its importance, of its scalability. And I think you guys hit a simple problem at the right time in a channel devoid of answers for us at the SMB and MSP level, right? The ability to do device scanning for vulnerabilities, the ability to do network scanning for vulnerabilities, the ability to kind of remediate those and track them. That was a need that was being filled that didn't kind of exist anywhere really in our space. I mean, you had your Nessuses and your Qualys, and you had those very enterprise plays. You didn't have much that was scaled to an MSP that made sense, right? And so that was kind of the problem statement I solved, or that was solved by that. But what's your security background? Is this really your first foray into a security product? Have you been in that space? Help me understand kind of that background.
Yeah. So I mean, I go back. I worked with Andrew Morgan for a while.
It's okay. I won't
Way
hold it
back in the
against you.
day.
No, I love me some Andrew Morgan.
Way back at our time at ConnectWise, we did a lot of some of the initial security, business planning
Sure.
around that. Me, formally, my cybersecurity background, I have a computer science background.
Right.
I did some development work, and
Right.
I did a lot of, project managing for some of the softwares we released back in the day there.
Which is tough because as a product manager, when you talk about security requirements, when you talk about that design element of security, thinking about software code and secure code development and secure practices in your CI/CD pipeline, those type of things are big. But as a product manager, your job is to make and ship product. That's it. It is not to fix security vulnerability. It is not. So that's probably one of the interesting pieces that you might have visibility on, which is how, as a product company and a product manager, do you incorporate these things that are thought of as dealing with legacy tech debt, or in your case, it was getting rid of salt stack or potentially going to different things. How do you deal with that in that seat as a product manager? Is it tough?
So I've just sort of been handling the overarching, business operations, making sure things are running smoothly.
Sure.
Calls
Not
are
the
getting
individual
answered.
sprints necessarily in that regard.
Not the individual sprints anymore. We actually just hired our CISO for the company, Krishnar Kodakat.
Oh, very cool.
So he actually did a lot of the security work for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar.
Okay, that's cool.
So he did.
Sorry, I had to. It was required.
He made sure Messi was protected, right?
Right. Yeah,
Salt Bay got on the field, but
well played. But the other thing that I would tackle is, I've asked a couple of the other parties that have been here with me the same question. As a company, are you seeing a shift in, and this goes all the way back to Andrew Morgan's just whole passion project for the last 2-3 years with CyberCall and all those things. Are you seeing a more mature consumer? Are they starting to understand what they're trying to do more?
We still have a decent amount of MSPs who kind of use the, fear, uncertainty, and doubt tactics, which, that still works. We're trying to push them to more of a consultative, if you will, practice.
Yes, Jeff, man, this is live right now. So again, and it's because I screwed up in the beginning of this and closed out my last live stream. So yeah, it's live again, sir. It's good to see you. Sorry. Got distracted.
Hey, Jeff.
Oh, man. But, back to the question. I apologize. I distracted us, and I do that every now and again. But you're seeing them mature. You're seeing them leave that fear, uncertainty, and doubt technique. But are you seeing their understanding of what has to be done grow? Like, think about it this way. If you were making an argument for vulnerability scanning 3 years ago, the argument would be you need vulnerability scanning.
Yeah.
Now it's Control 7.1, 7.2, 7.3 talks about finding those vulnerabilities, patching those vulnerabilities, having some validation method that your patching is even working. And I know you worked for a former product and they never had problems with patches failing, right? I digress. I won't make you put that on live stage. But I think that is, for me, one of the biggest changes that we're seeing in our market is you can sell as a seller now based on something that's empirical, that's actually tied to something that people have as a total breadth of what they need to accomplish, right? And if you look at CIS IG1s, you're an IG1, right? Yep. What you guys do is part of implementation group 1 because it's this understanding of, I have to patch my crap. That's how Matt Lee's going to attack me, or at least Jason Slagle significantly more than me on that side, vuln management wise. But does that help a company like you? I would have to imagine it drives sales.
I would say, yeah. I mean, we touch on quite a few of the CIS controls, 1, 2, 4, 7, and 12, I believe, are the ones we touch on.
So 1 in device management and the ability to see the surface of devices from your list as a facilitator. Then 2 would be on software that's installed on machines from the 2.1, 2.2 on address unauthorized software. What was the other one you said?
4, 7.
Okay, we're
and
getting
12.
into configuration management. I agree. 7, we're getting into the management of the assets and being patched. And what was the last one?
12.
So 12, we're in network management, network security. I would agree. All right, cool. We've vetted it.
We're
We're done. We're done with the work, man. We've had the
We're
conversation.
dabbling a little bit in a lot of the different controls. But one of the things that a lot of folks really like about our product, we do a good job of kind of picking up those third-party patches that RMMs don't always grab. We do that mostly through a subscription to Chocolatey repository.
Yep.
So that there's a lot of good patches sourced there. But going back,
well, you're democratizing that access to some extent.
Exactly.
But yeah, sorry.
Going back to your question though, trying to bring them along that maturity, from
Journey.
Journey. One of the things that's really helped me and my team out is the Cyber Defense Matrix book by Sunil Yu.
Yeah. I don't know if Sunil gets enough royalties from that book to increase the value it's given to the community, but I agree with you 100%.
The man deserves a huge shout out for kind of taking
Sunil.
This mess and putting it into a simple to understand matrix. Where do you live? Which
box do you touch?
Which box do you touch? Exactly.
And it also shows the giant gap in, and this is outside of this conversation, I guess just the way my childlike mind works, of the user level detection and user, like when you put CIS safeguards or NIST into Sunil Yu's framework, you see an abject gap in identity security, identity protection. But sorry, that was earlier for my identity guys. I apologize, but continue.
So that's for at least for the U.S. team and the folks back in Bangalore. We're all kind of encouraging to read that book to understand where do we sit in this matrix. And
sure.
My father Arnie, way back in the day at the beginning of ConnectWise, the whole push was to mature MSPs from just doing IT work, building computers, servers, boxes, if you will,
at the core, wrench turning,
and then just installing it at the office, laying the cables, all 100%. That break fix model. One of the things that we think is kind of ironic is, he matured a lot of, the old school MSPs from that break fix model to managed services.
Yeah, I would not have been able to sell our MSP that I was a part of at the numbers we sold, which had commas in it, had it not been for that path. And one of the things I think you might be going with this is, and I talked about it earlier today, that same motion that took an MSP and made them hyper efficient, hyper efficacious in their ability to deliver a good user experience, to bill on a monthly basis, to be profitable, to do all those things, are the same things it takes to do security well, right? Maybe that's where you're going with this, but that is the corollary here, that I don't want MSPs to be scared that this security thing is just so hard to do. I can't ever do it. Horse crap. You also said that about becoming an MSP, and yet here we sit, right? And, you see that maturity, and we're at a really dense maturity level on MSPs at a business operational level, at a efficacy of their work level, at a root cause analysis level, they've gotten really good at that, right? When you were break fix, there was no incentivization to do RCA other than keeping the job, right? Because you got another hour of bill to fix it and troubleshoot it, and the plate spinning was profitable. When you go to that MSP model and Arnie's model and the way it played out, I only am profitable if I'm efficient. I'm only profitable if I don't have to come back for the same problem. I'm only profitable if I can make that same margin. Do you think that has an impact on where we go from educating and driving the market for maturity around security too?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you nailed it right on the head.
I get one a day. It's unfortunate. Or maybe one a stream. That's why I canceled the other stream. I'd already burned that bullet. I wanted to save it for you. Yeah.
You get it too for today, I guess.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, I think, it's an opportunity to shift left, to go left to boom, start doing those managed services to prevent or, make it
detect limit or
to, harden your attack surface. That's kind of one of our, that's one of the things we're really going with, with the turtle, right?
That's awesome. I get it now.
Make it more difficult, for the threat actors to get in.
Yeah.
And it's more affordable, more profitable to do that, left of boom. And that's sort of, I guess, where we're coming into the equation, along with, my uncle's company, CyberFox. They do the password management and identity management part of the tool, the protect column. So
sure.
we're trying to provide those tools for MSPs to be able to kind of identify and protect before a breach happens, which is more profitable for the
See, I'm going to
MSP.
throw this up before I read it. I wondered what you guys would look like with Peter's great hair and Matt's great beard.
I don't have the
I'm
beard.
glad I threw it up there. But you know what? It would be great. The good Lord has a sense of humor, however, and decided to give me eyes that don't point in the same direction and no hair on top. But boy, I got a beard. So 100%. Listen, you guys are going to be a big part of Beyond, correct? As I understand.
Yes, we're looking
And
forward to it.
are you going to be there next week?
Yeah, so me, Shiva, Shrikant, and Ryan, who's doing a lot of the education
Oh, man.
here. We're all going to be there. Looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
PAX 8's been great for us. I mean, honestly, our whole thing is we want to provide great and affordable cybersecurity tools, and we're going to keep doing that.
It's a mission.
We can only do that through great partnerships with
Yeah.
companies like PAX 8.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things about this is everybody wants a marketplace. Everybody wants to drive it. We all should drive it. We all should help do our part to take advantage of this greenfield opportunity. I think security is probably, and maybe I offend some things, we've commoditized so much through what your dad and uncle and just the whole community of humans have done. We've almost made technology a bit of a commodity. And thereby devaluing what we're doing. That's why strategic services. That's why that shift to VCIO. That's why you had all those things that had to come in as Arnie was walking through this journey of people becoming MSPs. And now you take it to, I think this is just that next plane of maturation. I think it's just that next plane of reducing this commodity value and driving this service and value at scale of my knowledge and expertise as a professional. And I think that's what we're starting to see, that shift. And security is simply replacing some of the commodity in that revenue stream, right? And so I think there's just tons of greenfield opportunity. I think there's, I think somebody came in earlier and said that 58% of the United States business and GDP is from the SMB,
Yep.
under 500 employees. Like, that's where we have so much room and so much opportunity to grow. And an additional stat that was brought up is we've shifted in the last few years from about a 40% penetration rate from MSPs from that perspective to closer to 60%. That still means there's 40% of small to mid-sized businesses that are not touching MSP services, that have scalability, have security needs, have all these things. And you're starting to see that market be met by MSPs at a much, much more mature basis. Some of that through the hyperscalers and the ones like Iconic, where we were putting in Integris now, and it's hundreds of $1 million in revenue, right, that I'm part of. Those types of things have matured that market a lot. But even somebody starting as a 2-person MSP today is more mature because of the work of your dad and community, but also because of the work of what we're seeing in the security play and in what we do and what I do. We're seeing a rapid growth of MSPs and in security deliverability from that perspective. But we're at the end of the time. Yep. Well, some contrived time I made up because now we're using time that I wasn't here, but we're on the new stream. Anything you want to say to people? We've got a bunch of MSPs and CEOs listening, and I'm just, wait a minute, we should talk sometime. I'm not just saying you're wrong. You know what, Jeff? I am down for a conversation. I love Discord and conversation. It helps people learn and understand things, and I very highly respect your opinion as well. So love to have that conversation for sure. What do you want to end with, man? What do you want to leave MSPs? How can they be better after this conversation?
I guess, there's a lot of great, security vendors that are coming up through the channel that are going to be doing a channel only play. A lot of us are here for you. I just got off our Wednesday call that we have every week with our MSPs. About 100 of our,
that's cool,
partners come on, and we literally seek out the roadmap from them. That's and cool. Then our team, within a week or two, sometimes we'll stick it right in the product. We're here for you.
Maybe I have that distillation for you then. Lean into your vendors.
Yeah.
Advise them what you need as you're growing and as you're failing or as you're succeeding. Tell them what's wrong. Tell them what's right. Help them shape the product to you. And I think you guys have done that. You've had a pack, of sorts since the very beginning.
Yep.
You have advisors coming in and sharing that. So great to have you here, man. I can't wait to see you next week.
Thank you.
I love watching continued success and growth in our industry of every variant. So
thank you, man.
Great to have you. This time I'm really ending the stream like for real, and I didn't accidentally forget a guest. I swear it's not me. Thank you.